what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds, and in this video, I'm going to be answering your property investment questions. I've been in property now for 12 years, buying houses, selling houses, developing properties, and I'm going to be answering all of your niggling, annoying questions around property, tax, rent-to-rents, lease option agreements, how to buy properties with very little money, and a host of other things. Now, last week, there were so many questions on YouTube, so I'm going to answer last week's questions, but as I'm answering last week's questions, if a question pops into your brain, I want you to comment below in the comments section, and then next week on Sunday at 7 p.m, I'm going to answer your property investment questions. Now, please do smash the like button, and also you need to subscribe, because if you don't subscribe and turn the notification bell on, you might ask a question, and I might answer your question next week on Sunday, but you never knew I answered your question because you weren't subscribed and you didn't have the notification bell turned on. So do that now, smash the like button, and let's see what we've got. So Jordan Guy from last week says, "Hi Samuel, is there a way to buy a second house with a 10% deposit?" Now the answer to that, Jordan, is if you're buying a house and you want to put down a 10% deposit, traditionally that's going to have to be a residential mortgage, which means you're going to be living in the property. Now, it is possible to get a second home, which is also a residential mortgage. A lot of people get a second residential home, and you could put down potentially 10%. The only problem is, I get the feeling that you're looking to buy a second home as an investment. Now, if you're looking to buy a second home as an investment, generally speaking, the banks are going to want to lend you a maximum of 75%, possibly 80%, but normally 75%, which means that you're going to need to put in about 25% as a deposit. Now, of course, you can do creative financial strategies, which is what I often share on YouTube, but generally speaking, second home or investment home, as a buy-to-let, you're going to need 25% deposit. Hope that helps. What else do we have? Kevin James says, "Can you legally live in your own rent-to-rent and or lease option agreement property?" And the answer to that is yes, you can. If you live in a lease option agreement, that's effectively like rent to own. And if it's a rent to rent, I know a lot of people that do this. They'll rent a property off of a landlord, but then they will re-rent the rooms in the house. Now, as long as you do this with the correct contract and the correct management agreement, this is perfectly okay. Next, Ben says, "I have just set up my deal sourcing company and I'm in the process of becoming compliant." Good for you. That's really good to hear. "I've done quite a bit of training and I'm looking to focus on BRR properties as a starting point. I'm curious to get your thoughts on selling a first deal and attracting investors to you with little experience or sales. What would you suggest the best method of connecting and attracting investors is, especially in the current climate? Thanks, Ben." So first thing I want to say, Ben, is in the current climate, it is not difficult to package and sell deals. There's a lot of investors that are looking actively to invest in property right now. In fact, people are getting gazumped at the moment, which means an investor will put forward an offer and then another investor will outbid them. So it's not a bad time to package and sell deals. In terms of how would you go about doing your first deal, always ask what they want. So rather than frantically looking, you said you were looking for a BRR deal or a below market value deal, rather than just frantically looking for good deals, you want to speak to investors first and say, hey, what are you looking for? And in business, it's always about finding a problem, bringing a solution. So find an investor who's got a problem, i.e. he can't find a house, he hasn't got the time, he hasn't got the knowledge. Find out what that investor's looking for, go and find it, and then just give it to him. That's what deal packaging and deal selling is. I hope that helps. If not, comment some more questions, but thanks so much for that one. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, by the way, guys, please do smash the like button. It really helps me make sure the blue thumb is pointing up. It needs to be blue. Greg says, "I'm going to do serviced accommodation." I like that. I like the fact you just said, I'm going to do serviced accommodation. There's not like, I'm thinking about, or I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. So no doubt you're going to be successful. "How can I find out the area I like to choose is right and I'll have enough customers each month?" Okay, so Greg, in terms of demand, what I would recommend if you're looking to do serviced accommodation is to look at what hotels are doing in the area. Go on booking.com and see if the rooms are full, see how much they're charging. Also go on Airbnb. And on Airbnb, it's really cool because you can literally look at the calendars of other properties that might be similar to the one that you're thinking of getting. And you can see not only the price, but also how full they are, how booked that property is. So that will give you a real good idea of the demand in the area for that kind of property. I hope that helps. Thanks so much for your question. Scodge McClory. Hi Samuel, looking to first time buy and rent a room out while living there. Do I need a buy-to-let mortgage or is a residential mortgage fine? Also, is this an okay strategy to use to get your foot in the door of property investing? Love the videos, thank you. So, Scodge, good news is you do not need a buy-to-let mortgage to rent a room out in a house that you're living in. A residential mortgage is absolutely fine. You do not need any permission, you do not need planning, you do not need a license, and you don't even need to pay tax. How awesome is that? You can rent a room out or multiple rooms out in your house, as long as it's not above £7,000, it is completely tax-free. Fantastic rule. So yeah, that's good news for you, Scodge. Go kick some ass. Let me know what happens. Ian Taylor, I am 77. Wow, I've got to answer your question if you're 77. I love how we have like 17-year-olds and 77-year-olds on the channel. I have just got a mortgage at 3.35% by applying through a limited company. The mortgage company wasn't interested in me. They were only interested in the property I wanted to remortgage. Okay, there doesn't seem to be a question in there, but Ian, that's great news. I'm really glad to hear that you got a good rate. I'm glad that they weren't too interested in you, and you don't want them to be too interested in you, really. You want them to be interested in the property. And the great point that Ian raises here is that buy-to-let mortgages, the lenders care more about the property than they care about you. So when you're trying to get a mortgage to live in a house, they're going to ask you all kinds of questions. They're going to say, hey, you know, how old are you and where do you currently live and what do you earn and what's this and what's that and what are you spending a month and what's your partner spending a month, and there's all these questions. But when you're doing a buy-to-let mortgage, there's still questions, but they're more concerned about the house. So as long as you get good at finding good houses, good investment houses, they just need to make sure that they know that they're going to get paid from the tenant that lives in the house. They want to make sure that the house stacks up. So really, really cool. All right, next, Joseph. How do you sell a deal to an investor without them stealing the deal and cutting you out of the picture? Very simple, Joseph. You use an NDA contract, a non-disclosure agreement, a confidentiality agreement, and you do not give them the details until they sign that agreement. Wasteman Noob. Okay, fair enough. Please explain your experience of when an investor pretended to know about a property you found them. Yes. Okay, so I might have mentioned this in a previous video. Very linked to the last question, actually. So if you do not have an NDA, let's say you find a property and you think this is a really good property and you like it, and then you want to sell it to an investor, the investor, when you tell them about the property, they might try and cut you out of the deal and just do the dirty on you. Now, what I've had it where investors, because they don't want to cut me out of the deal and do the dirty on me because it looks really bad and they'll be embarrassed and their reputation will go down the pan. I've had some investors that have said to me, oh, it's 32 Church Street. Oh my goodness, that's so crazy because I actually already knew about that property. And I'm thinking, no, you didn't. And they're like, yeah, I literally found it on my computer yesterday and I was about to view it. I was going to ring up. That's so crazy. In other words, I'm not going to pay your fee now because I already knew about the house. Normally, and it's so annoying when this happens because it's like, I know you're lying and you know that I know that you're lying, but you can't prove it. So bottom line is just have an agreement in place that just says, look, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you the details of this property, but please can you confirm that if I give you the details of the property and you go ahead with the deal, you need to pay me my fee. And if they say I already knew about it, then why are you trying to pay me in the first place for a property when you already knew about it? So it's really important that your confidentiality agreement is really airtight and it stops people doing the dirty on you when you're a deal packager. Hope that helps. What else do we have? Afro Promotions. Hey Samuel, very important question here. I want to get an LOA this year very soon. I want to make it as cost effective as possible. Regarding the solicitor, if I just get one to represent the seller, is that okay? Or do you recommend I get one to represent me as well? I don't want to if it's not necessary. Also a follow-up question, if the house I'm getting under an LOA, lease option agreement, costs £80,000, how much can I roughly expect to pay out for legals, etc., assuming the house isn't in need of renovation? Would appreciate if you can help, thanks. So Afro Promotions, firstly, the fee for a lease option agreement isn't really going to change depending on the size of the house. If it's an £80,000 house or if it's an £800,000 house, you're going to typically pay around about £900 plus VAT to get a solicitor to draw up a lease option agreement. Now, in terms of whether you need the seller and you, the investor or the buyer, to have an independent solicitor, you don't need to. the seller needs to be represented. So if you're doing a lease option agreement, the seller should always have a solicitor representing them, lest they try and say, oh, I signed under duress in 5 years' time when the house has gone up in value and you're trying to exercise your option to buy it. Should you have a solicitor? You don't need one. I often don't use a solicitor because I know the crack, but if it's your very first time, it probably would be worth paying the £1,000 or whatever it is to have a solicitor to represent you. So it's recommended, but it's not legally essential. Hope that helps. All right, next, Sam Hawkins. Hi Samuel, if you decide to use Land Registry to contact a landlord directly, how would you explain to them how you found their details without scaring them off? So Sam Hawkins, if you're finding a property address from Land Registry, normally you're going to find a property that you've got a particular interest in. So let's say it's empty and you drive past it every day. Maybe it's like, I don't know, got like a fire burn and it's been neglected and the weeds are growing and you just think, that's got real opportunity. And you find out on Land Registry who owns it and you pay £3 and you then write to the person or speak to that person. I don't think it's creepy at all. I think it's like, hey, this house is neglected, it's empty. I've seen the weeds. I drive past it every day. I'm really curious. Would you be interested in taking an offer on the property? I'd like to buy it. That's not freaky. So it would be freaky if you were contacting like people that were living in the house. But if normally when you find someone on Land Registry, it's because the house is neglected. You don't know who owns it. I wouldn't be sending letters to everybody that owns the house and hunting people down on Land Registry anyway. So it kind of depends. Hope that gives some context. Let's see what else we have. Matthew says, "Hi Samuel, big fan. How much does it cost to start up a serviced accommodation unit? Also, do you recommend paying a deal sourcer on the first unit?" So how much does it cost? It really varies. To get a serviced accommodation unit, you might have to pay for furniture, you might have to pay a deposit or some upfront rent to the landlord. I mean, normally if you've got about £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, that should be ample to get you your first serviced accommodation deal. Of course, it really does depend. Should you pay a deal sourcer? I would say no, because you don't want to pay someone to do something when you could do it yourself. And I find that with deal sources and rent to rents and stuff, it's all a little bit, I've seen so many people get burned, I've seen it go wrong so many times. The only time I would recommend paying a deal sourcer to find you a deal is if you know how to find the deal yourself, so they can't pull the wool over your eyes, you know it, but you haven't got the time. But if you don't know how to do it yourself, don't pay them because they could really, really stitch you up. And there's so many people out there that are selling deals and they're not actually that great. And they're just pulling the wool over your eyes, relying on your unknowledge, that's not even a word, relying on your lack of knowledge, your lack of education, and they'll make the figures look great on paper and it will go bad and they charge a fortune. So be really careful. I've seen it go wrong too many times. I'd rather invest. A deal sourcer will charge you about £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 on average for a nice rent-to-rent property. Why not just invest that money into yourself, get the knowledge, get yourself a deal, and then you've got the knowledge to do it again, again, and again, and again. That's what I would recommend doing. And that's not just because I run training courses. That's genuinely the best thing to do. So what else do we have? Abdullah. Samuel, how do I convince my dad to take me to the crash course? Because I'm too young, he isn't taking me seriously. Samuel, please help! It's like I can't even get him to check the dates. Please help. Okay, Abdullah, what I would probably say, firstly, respect and congratulations for trying to get your dad to come. I would just have the conversation with him. I'd just say, look, Dad, this is really important to me. What do you want me to do, Dad? What do you want me to do in my life? He'll probably say, I want you to go to university and get a good job. Okay, cool. And I'm very open to that, Dad. And if I go to university and get a good job, the reason I want to do that is because I want to make good money. Would you agree? Yeah, great. So there's this program out there that's teaching how to make money through property, how to be an investor. I'm really interested in this. Please, it's free. What do I need to do to get you to come along with me? And honestly, I think most dads would do it. Or just try a different technique rather than trying to sell it. Maybe just say, look, this is really important to me. You know, I love you, Dad, and I really want you to come along. What do I need to do to convince you? I mean, if he doesn't come after that, then stuff him. Go find another dad. No, I'm just kidding. Then just ask your uncle or ask your mom or, you know, find somebody else. And then when you become really successful in property, what's going to probably happen is he's going to be like, oh, I always believed in you, you know, son. You know, it's always what happens. But anyway, hope that helps. Good luck. I'll see you there. Okay, Ajaz. Hello, Samuel. I have a property worth around £170,000 with around £120,000 refinancing potential. I'm looking to invest into HMOs and make it my full-time job, i.e. means of living and quitting my full-time job. Also, is there a path of least resistance for refinancing? And lastly, which HMO management firm do you recommend, as I've heard some horror stories? Hope to be on Winners Wednesday one day. So, 2 questions there. I hope to see you on Winners Wednesday one day as well. That'd be awesome. Firstly, you're talking about refinancing. What's the best way to do that? Who are the best lenders? I would say get a good mortgage broker. You need to speak to an independent mortgage broker that has access to all of the different lending criteria, and they'll be able to find you the best mortgage suitable. In terms of HMO management company, it varies because you want to. I can't recommend you a HMO management company because I don't know where you are. So you need to find one that's in the area that you're looking. So I would suggest going on spareroom.co.uk, looking at all the rooms available in the area that you're in, and then you'll be able to see all the agents and just call them and say, hey, are you a HMO management company in the area? And just talk to them. So there are some horror stories. There always are when things are done badly. But that would be my advice. I hope that helps. Good luck. Let me know if you need any help and look forward to seeing your success and your more questions. Okay, Aaron Holmes. We'll just do maybe 1 or 2 more after this and then I'm going to wrap up. I hope you're enjoying the video. Please don't forget to comment your questions as well. Don't be passive about this because honestly I believe that most people that aren't succeeding in the way that they want to is because they haven't got the information, because they don't ask for help. So I'm here. It's free. It's YouTube. Comment below, and I really am going to answer your questions. I'm going to do my very best, at least, to answer your question next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. And don't forget to subscribe. Let's see what else we've got. Aaron Holmes. Hello, my name's Aaron. Hello. I'm from sunny Leeds. I'm 30, and I own 2 rental properties, with my 3rd going through at the moment. I've got 2, by the way, congratulations, that's awesome. 3 houses is fantastic for 30 years old. I've got 2 0% interest cards before Christmas, 12k and 6k limit. I use these cards instead of the money I earn from work. I have the money. I would have spent day to day in stock market worth about £21,000 at the moment. But the problem is my credit rating is really poor now as I've maxed them out. Would you just pay them off or half off or 4th rental property? 4th rental property. Listen, I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know all the ins and outs of your situation. I'm not sure what you're doing in the stock market right now. But what I would say is, firstly, your credit should not be poor because you've maxed out on your credit cards. Because if you're paying back the interest, which you should be able to, because if you use the credit cards to max out to buy houses, hopefully those houses are renting out and you should be using the rent to pay back the interest, plus be left over with some more, which you're saving up for your 4th property. Awesome. So you shouldn't be getting bad credit for that. The only reason you get bad credit is when you don't pay on time. That will give you bad credit. I'd be trying to build your portfolio. I'd just keep building it and continue getting that debt. And if you've got 0% interest on your credit cards, I mean, geez. What I would watch is how long is it 0%? If it's going to suddenly go up to like 15 or 20%, you need to be mindful of that. You need to have a plan to make sure that you can either switch it over to another credit card or pay it off. Normally with these 0% credit cards, they lure you in. They say, oh, it's 0% for 20 months. And then after 20 months, they charge you an absolute fortune. But you can normally transfer it over to another credit card and just keep doing that, every couple of years. So, I don't know. But I'd keep growing your portfolio. Shola. 1 more after this. Comment yours in below. I'll be answering next week. Shola says, hi Samuel, thanks for your helpful videos. Please, please, please answer my question. Here I am answering your question. I hope you're watching though. I currently live in a property I own. I have a 2-year fixed term which will end April 2021. I would like to turn this property into a buy-to-let once the fixed term ends and sell it to my limited company. Okay, yeah, I really wouldn't do that. I would simultaneously like to buy a new property to live in. I wouldn't do that either. I need to do this before the stamp duty holiday ends in order to save on stamp duty. I wouldn't worry about that either. Does this sound feasible? I'll finish your question. I don't want to terminate my fixed term before it officially ends as the fee is £7,000. However, the stamp duty holiday ends in March 21 and my fixed term ends in April 21. Is it possible to do this without penalty? Please help. Listen, I'm really not on the same page as you right now, Shola. I love you and I think it's great that you're watching these videos and I think it's great that you're taking action. But you've got a property right now and you're saying you want to turn that property into a buy-to-let property. Okay, that's probably not a good thing to do. You're probably better off to sell it and then go and buy a buy-to-let property that's better. But then you're saying you want to sell it, instead of just getting a buy-to-let mortgage on it, you want to sell it to your company. But then you're going to get hit with stamp duty. But then you seem in the next breath to be really bothered about stamp duty because you're rushing to buy your own house. I don't know. I mean, it sounds to me, you know what you should do, and I hate to sell, but you should join, and honestly, folks, it's £1, okay? It's £1, £1. That's my unashamed plug. I would join Samuel365 on Samuel365.com. Costs £1. You have a 7-day trial. And then thereafter, you can cancel at any time. There's no cancellation charges, and it's £95 a month. When you're a Samuel365 member, costs £1. You can book a mentoring call. Now, this might not be with me. It could be with me, or it could be with one of my mentors. And that's what you need to do. And you need to just bounce off and work out a strategy. You'll also, as a member of Samuel365, get coaching calls with me every week. And you'll also get the crash course and lots of other training, which is going to really, really help you out in this time. So Shola, that's what I would recommend doing. And sorry for the unashamed plug, but that's what you need. Okay, good luck. One last one. Jonesy Brews. Hi Samuel, I have a £180,000 mortgage on a £250,000 house with wife and kids. Is there a way I can get into buy-to-let housing as a passive income with little savings? Thanks in advance. For sure you can, Jonesy. You can get into property with little savings, but if you've got money, it's easy. If you've not got money, it's hard. If you've got money, you can just buy houses. If you've not got money, you need to do things like raise money. You need to do joint ventures. You need to do rent to rents. You need to do lease option agreements. You need to do bridging finance and buy a property and push the value up and get development finance and then refinance. Like, it becomes more complicated. So can anyone get into property with very little money? Yes. Will everybody? No. Why? Because it takes effort. And you got to be a property investor, but also if you've not got much money, you need to be a property entrepreneur. A property investor is someone that puts money into investments. Cool. But if you want to do that and you've got no money, then you need to be a property entrepreneur. And a property entrepreneur is someone who finds ways to make money and is creative and raises money. So be a property entrepreneur, be a property investor together, row it like rowing a boat with 2 oars, become very wealthy, become very successful, and then contact me and tell me what happened, because your success is my oxygen. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing your questions in the comment box below. Please do smash the like button. It really helps me out. And also subscribe, because I love it when you actually get to see my videos. So turn the notification bell on. I'll see you next time. Peace out.